Shadowverse.
Greetings, I'm Shad, and if you know anything about me, you know that I love fantasy and looking at how the historical, more realistic elements are adapted into fantasy, because when fantasy is more believable, it's more immersive. When this happens, when this transition or adaptation happens, let's just say mistakes are made. And that's exactly what I wanted to look at in this video, the mistakes, specifically some of the worst types of fantasy armor you could imagine. So bad, you might even call it cursed. As bad as we can get. And because this is another cultural experience, I'm joined by a man of culture. Hello, Oz.
Hello, I'm Oz. I'm happy to be here again. Boobs again?
No. Well, maybe. There might be some boobs here and there. We had a look at, our classic different types of boob armor, giving our opinions. But what about the guy's armor as well?
Yeah, what about guy boobs armor? I mean,
guy armor, exactly. Well, they do sometimes have boobs. It depends on the guy. But there is, or just fantasy armor generally. We're kind of going out of our way to look at some bad examples. The worst. I do want to preface that, unfortunately, I don't know the name of all the artists for the artwork we're doing. This is a transformative use that falls under fair use. But if you do know the artist names, credit. And so thank you for joining us. We're going to dive right in and have a look at some cursed fantasy armor images. Starting off with, this looks like a Final Fantasy thing. And I just don't know what is going on with the legs. It'll look like it's got a plate on the thigh, on the front of the thighs, and the plate's like, why?
It's part of his, weapon arsenal, you know?
Yeah.
And also, look at his...
But if it was part of his arsenal, you'd think there'd be something covering his rear. And so I'm just wondering, it's an odd choice of placement for these plates of armor.
Yeah. What's protecting his tummy?
Not much by the look of it. It's just very, very weird. And you can add weird adornments if it's aesthetic. I don't think this makes it look any better aesthetically.
Oh, that's quite pretty.
Well, this is very pretty art. It's well done art. It does qualify as a type of boob armor. The reason why this kind of, some might not be cursed. We've got a selection of armors we're going through, and this is not as cursed as I've seen, but I'm just wondering what this odd piece of armor. You see this, the spike on the thigh?
You know how the Italian sort of armors, they have the long leg plates that protect the legs and thighs and stuff. I think that's what it's meant to be.
I don't think it's supposed to be. It's not a tasset, really.
Is that what they're called, tassets?
And it looks like there's only one on one side, and then she's got these really big spikes coming down right there. I think we are going to see some worse cases of some cursed armor, though.
Yeah. Also, it's sitting pretty loose. Look at her shoulder. You can see it's sitting pretty loose on her. Maybe if she's not careful, the armor
might just slide down.
Could you imagine how awful that would be if the armor just fell off of her body completely?
That would be embarrassing, Oz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she might need to just plate up a bit more, get some more armor on there. But there is another way in which you could plate up in another beneficial way, which is the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. The transition was armor plate, and now it's plate of food.
They're both the same word.
And they are.
Da Vinci.
HelloFresh is a food box delivery service that I've used for years and is genuinely brilliant. The ingredients are delivered fresh, right to your door, and you can savor every last second of summer because the quality produce comes straight from the farm to your door in less than a week. So you can enjoy the delicious flavors of the season right at your home. And the food really is delicious. I've been using HelloFresh for years and I am yet to have a meal I didn't like. It's extremely flexible. You can update your delivery address and enjoy HelloFresh even while you're on vacation. With just a click, plans are flexible so they work with your ever-changing schedule. One of my favorite things about it is that they offer some really fit and wholesome recipes which make it really easy to eat without sacrificing flavor. This means you can maintain your goals and feel good about your food choices with HelloFresh. The recipes are very easy to follow and include pre-proportioned ingredients that mean less prep time and less wasted food overall. I have 5 children and whenever we do a HelloFresh meal, it is a highlight and they genuinely get excited, which is shocking to me, but this is actually very true. All you need to do is give it a go and you'll very likely be converted just like I was to HelloFresh because it's so good. And there's a great deal that you can take advantage of. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code Shadiversity16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. It's a genuinely brilliant deal, free food, all you need to do is give it a go and I'm very confident you'll be blown away just like I was. And thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Wow. Those pauldrons, and I guess you would call them tassets. Like, wow. What were they thinking?
Clearly, it's meant for a much larger. Like they've got Peace for the Dude's armor, who is 10 feet tall.
This is one of the stereotypical kind of over-the-top fantasy exaggerations in armor design. Crazy big pauldrons is common, and I guess for aesthetics. But we know, look. It's fantasy. Yeah, we get all that. We also want to see what it would be like if this was real. It'd be insanely heavy. And also odd and hard to maneuver. Do you see how far this pauldron comes down almost here? Yeah. She lifts her arm and she's going to like hit this massive pauldron and it'll jab into a thing there. Whereas pauldrons that are actually made to be attached to the shoulder get raised with it as you lift it. These are so big that it's almost like they're disconnected and you'd hit the things and get in the way.
Maybe it's some concept art for a MOBA, because MOBAs do that a lot, don't they? They like make the proportions for armors bigger.
I know World of Warcraft does huge pauldrons. This one goes an extra step, where it's got massive tassets. I don't know how big the hips they were thinking this lady had, but the proportions just look a bit cursed from this. It's like, so massive pauldrons, and that's it.
Yeah. And then
leggings? In this, leggings stylistic. I don't know what they're going for. The pauldrons aren't terrible, but there's like, where is everything else? I don't mind people using metal for just aesthetic adornment if it's a part of the fashion, and I would, for that reason, I think I need to give it a pass. Oh, yes.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah, I know, like in someone's sex dungeon, maybe.
You were there too?
So, this is like classic schlock fantasy leather armor stuff.
Like BDSM Batman.
I know. It's like, it's made of dress leather. It wouldn't actually, it wouldn't be protective leather at all. A sword would cut through this pretty darn quickly, but we see it in lots of fantasy things. So, there's some openings, weak points, I would say, just on a cursory look. The thing that makes this also just cursed armor is like, look at this weird pauldron spiky thing. Like, what really makes cursed armor is when it's non-functional. You could barely move in it. And if she raises her arm too much, either this spike thing's going to stop it or it's going to get caught in her head and just...
That's actually an enchanted set of armor. Its ability is that it makes a man lose the blood from his legs and he falls over.
Ah, okay. I think I've heard of that enchantment before.
Yeah, Legend of the Cryptids, guys. I mean...
Can you just... You try it.
Legend of the Cryptids. I mean...
So this one is... I get just whiplash in my, like... You know, it's like, some of the armor doesn't look too bad, but then it's like, what's that? And then it's not bad. It's like, well, what's that?
It's like good, really, really good. You know?
No, not at all. It's like, this has gone even further, where usually the armor would at least cover parts of the breasts, but it's like they didn't even want the armor to cover anything, and so she's just got cloth, and there's this massive opening right there. I don't get it.
Well, it might be like that Lord of the Rings dwarf lady. She said that her costume was designed so that she could breastfeed if she needed to.
Maybe she's a nursing mother.
Maybe
okay, that could be helpful. Yeah, good point. The helmet is odd and weird, where it's got this thing coming down, covering her chin, and then the helmet looks like the visor looks like lower and cover it, but then there's not much lower that would to protect the sides and things, and there's like these big openings on their head for her ponytail to come out, but it's like this huge opening.
But if she lowers her thing, she'll have a big
pointy thing coming out of her head. This is absolutely cursed.
Loose belts.
Yeah. Gosh.
Still looks pretty.
I mean, it's, in terms of the talent made to make the metal look shiny and metallic, there's talent in it.
That knee's a bit messed up, though.
A little bit. So, when looking up bad armor designs... Are you okay there, Oz?
That looks hideous. I've seen some truly hideous things, okay?
Yeah, listen.
I'm there at my place. And that thing is disgusting.
It's Yeah, look, it's pretty ugly. I've seen some much better leather armor. It's got the issue that it's not actual, like, leather armor. It's just more dress leather. It wouldn't block much. It could block a sword just sliding across the chest, but with a dedicated thrust or something solid, it would cut through. What's going on with the neck?
I don't know. It's like a turtleneck.
Oh, gosh. I think it would be uncomfortable as well. Nothing against the talent of leather working that went into it. I'm sure they might be able to make some nice things. It's very generic fantasy leather armor that we see, people being made like it. And it's a good representation of how generic it is. It's interesting how it's got the segments underneath for movement. Though, you know what's interesting? You don't necessarily need this. This is why this design isn't seen very much historically, because see this top part where it comes down, ends here, all right? That's the pivot point for between your chest and your hips. And so you could just leave it there and then add on a fold, something that flares out to give, and you've got full movement anyway. And so these segments going down is unneeded, and I think even more restrictive than the historical type that they did.
I feel like this is Sauron's armor from Rings of Power. That low budget looks.
I know. It kind of suits it, doesn't it? Okay, to those that say, it's only women getting objectified with the armor, it goes both ways. You see examples of male armor as well. This is worse than some boob armor because he's got like a bit of metal that only covers half of his chest and then cloth. And it's like, at least on the boob armor, they had like metal that at least covers the upper portion of the chest.
Yeah. Also, this is a cursed sword too.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
That's completely cursed.
That spike coming back on such a wide angle, as soon as you lift it up, you get to freaking stab your arms yourself. That's awful.
If you get into the bar with someone, you just got to push it in.
Holy crap. This is doubly cursed. This is...
What the
Okay. The reason why this one becomes cursed for me is the how much those layers are overdone and unnecessary. It's like layers on armor. Let's double down and layers on the chest, layers on the tassets, layers on the pauldrons, layers everything. And it's not really. And it's such a ahistorical design as a result. Just like now, I'm not saying they didn't have layers. Like there are some armor designs of tassets that had huge layers all the way down to the knees, right? But not like this. And you know what kind of annoys me about this design as well? They have tassets hanging off of the bottom of the breastplate. Usually tassets would hang down off the bottom of a fold, and the fold would cover your entire waist. Where this has pretty big exposed areas there. If you're wanting to cover your upper thighs, you have these big exposed areas on either side of this middle hanging tasset dongle thing. His weapon is a bit...
Yeah,
it's a bit badish, bit not. It's like bad generic fantasy. There's like good generic fantasy and then there's bad generic fantasy.
It's really not my fault.
Look, nothing against this individual, okay? A lot of effort going in and he might stumble upon this video sometime. Congratulations. You've been featured on the Shadowversity video. These images are freely available on the internet, by the way, okay? I'm not...
So if you want to take it down, take it up with...
What
the hell is that?
Yeah. This is like the breastplate looks awful, and then it's got unneeded segmentation, which and then it also goes down a bit too low. And the fold and tassets look just awful. These things hanging off the pauldrons.
Was that for displaying heraldry?
I think they're like trying to make them be bessigues, which are these kind of round protected pieces to protect the armor, the breastplate. When you raise it, the bessigue would usually hang down and be a bit of a stopgap to protect the armpit. But those are awful looking if they are.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's awful.
Oh.
So look at that tasset on the front.
I know. Like what's
the hell is that? He put it inside out, which happens to me a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so this one, there's one, maybe two redeeming elements, but the thing that I'm not liking is how spiky the pauldrons are. The thing on the those spikes that are coming up from the mouth looks to cross over the field of view of your eye, and you have restricted vision anyway, and so that would block your vision even more. The shaping of the lower part of the breastplate isn't terrible. You can see kind of like a point, and it's resting, point pivoting at the hips and stuff.
Shoes too.
I don't like the tassets. The tassets are just hanging off the side, and there's no proper fold covering the front part of your groin area, and then these gauntlets are going up so so high.
And these pointy shoes. Could you imagine someone waiting in line behind you with those shoes?
They had pointy shoes in the medieval period.
They had shoes that pointy?
Let me look. Let me show you. So pointy shoes are actually a bit of a fashion at some points. So this is it looks to be a surviving piece, but see how pointy they get, right? And look at this artwork. See the pointy shoes?
Yeah.
And so then, ready to get this? Pointy
socks?
No. Take a look at some of the pointy armored shoes they had. That's actually historical. Look at those.
It's like clown shoes.
I love it. It's part of the fashion. So you know how the codpiece, they would incorporate the elements of fashion to their armor design as well. This is where sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, or as strange as fiction.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Now, anime is weird, Shad. But what the hell is that?
What is it's just like the spikes and the layers and it's so unnecessary as well. And it makes me think, how many layers are on this project? 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on the top of it, there are 4 layers of steel, which would just multiply the weight. It's just, this is awful.
Yeah.
So okay.
Like the shoulder pieces, they're like from Warhammer.
That's the thing, though. That's one of the worst elements of this armor. Look how thick they are. If this was real, you would not be able to move.
Space Marines.
So, but for a fantasy, and if it's like super strong or it's enchanted, this armor isn't actually that bad. I would give it credit. It's got one of the annoying tropes again, where it has side tassets and no fold, and the front underneath the breastplate is just stab him in the area there. It's just like
Space Marines.
Other than that, I don't hate it. I think it's actually pretty cool. But it's an annoying trope. Tassets on the thighs just because and when tassets are usually attached, they're usually attached to the front of a fold, hanging down to cover some of that, and the fold can cover the sides. And so rarely were tassets just fixed on the sides. It's just a trope in fantasy. We'll get rid of a fold and just have hanging tassets things, which, look, I would even be reluctant to call them tassets because they're not, but for insert name, close equivalent, I'll call them tassets for sake of this discussion. Milady, you're missing the other half.
Yeah, well, we know what side she sleeps on at least.
I don't know. You don't need to know much about armor to kind of figure out that there's something missing. Just look at the gauntlet bracer things where it's just it's a line of steel with lines on it.
And the shoulder piece completely
and it's got spikes on this part facing it, and so if you erase it, it's stab.
Next to no rivets anywhere here, and that just breaks it completely.
And then rivets all over. Oh boy, that is cursed.
Yeah.
The face is nice, and the artwork,
Very pretty.
How will she move her neck? It's like
No, her hips will take up the slack.
So these pauldrons have hort pieces, which is these kind of sword breaker neck guard attachments to pauldrons. Okay, you could kind of go with it. I think them being so high, if the pauldron gets lifted too much, it's going to hit her in the head. But then it comes down into these really low spikes, which gives me the feeling it would get in the way of movement as well. But of course, the neck, it's like a neck brace armor. She's probably got a broken neck, and it's meant to hold her in place.
Maybe. Also, another part is confusing. It looks like her eyes are down here.
Yeah. Now, look, is this aesthetic? She seems to use magic, so maybe it's just for ornamentation, but it's not practical. Not at all. These armors, it's just, when I see it, it just caused me to
Is she expecting to go to the beach?
Well, there's that. That's not what's throwing me. It's the cloak armored thing that's just encasing her. I mean, what
How does
what?
she carry that?
I don't know, Oz. It's so, like, what if she wants to do this? Will it move with her, or she's like, can't move? What if she wants to raise her arms?
Well, the armor seems to be having a good time.
It has a very happy face.
I'd be happy if I was never mind.
Again, it's like, first, I was like, I get thrown. Where's the... I was thinking there was armor on the chest. Like, oh, no, those are tattoos. And then was like, oh, okay, that's what this is.
Enhance, I can't see the chest.
It's hard to make out because it's a bit of a mess in terms of your eyes being assaulted. The armor that's there isn't horrible.
But it's the armor that isn't there that's the problem.
I think that's the key in this one. The armor on the legs isn't going to be doing much, okay? Because the legs... actually a bit harder to hit than her exposed chest. In actual sword combat, legs are sometimes difficult to hit without exposing yourself and letting you get hit, and you can move the legs back, which is why one of the last pieces that people choose to be armored sometimes is the legs. And so what's odd here, if they're not worrying about protecting the chest, they wouldn't really have the leg armor either.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You know, this one's not that bad. I think this armor is actually very useful. I can see the benefits.
Japan. My goodness. Moving on.
We didn't get a chance to break down why that's bad, though.
Just moving on. We are moving on.
Okay, but could you please send that?
So, this one is clearly exaggerated on purpose, but we're going to break it down seriously anyway. Those pauldrons are huge. I wouldn't have too, to me, they're not the most egregious. I guess they're overweight. The thing what's happening in the waist here, in the segments here, if you made it in real life, it wouldn't actually be able to move too much. It'd get too locked. Yeah. And how it goes down to this kind of fold and the exposure, like, that's kind of my main issues. And I don't like how the thighs are protected by these kind of, like, they look like they're not attached to the thighs. And when she bends at the knee, like, so she bends at the knee and the part is just going to come forward with it.
Yeah.
It looks very odd. So this image has come up. This is like a real classic kind of fantasy paladin that appears. There are issues with it, like the amount of layers on the pauldrons. Like there's a pauldron with a pauldron underneath and a pauldron underneath that, almost.
Not just that, but look at, what are those things on the elbows called again?
They are, I have trouble pronouncing it, couters.
We've seen some couters in this one.
Thank you for that, Oz. But you're right, and it's hanging out pretty, like, far to the point where you'll be able to get in that opening from behind. Yeah. There's no fold or there's weird, again, those friggin' fantasy tacit crap. And then is wearing a scapular-like thing because they misidentify what people wore in medieval. I have a video on what the classic medieval tabard is. This is not a tabard. And like...
So I've got a name for it. I got a name for it.
What?
Instead of a monastic scapula, it's a spastic scapula.
That's offensive.
To who? Me? Yes.
So this one actually comes from Dragon Age. This is the armor of the Wardens, the Grey Wardens, I think their names are. Look at the friggin' tassets again. Bloody pisses me off. It's everywhere. I don't like the breastplate. The breastplate's really puny. It only covers the part like you could get on the sides, underneath, and even top. I don't like it.
You don't?
I don't like it. I mean, it's a great piece of art.
Yeah.
And in terms of over-the-top fantasy sword designs, I think that's actually a pretty cool-looking giant sword.
But you can't bend over it.
Yeah. Tassets. Look at what they're doing again. It's like they think folds don't exist. They have something against folds. Come on. The pauldron. The pauldron is the thing. Like this weird kind of same guard thing on the shoulder. As soon as if this pauldron lifts up, it's going to just...
why is there a hole in the back of it?
That's so weird. And then he's got armor that is this cloth that's going around his neck over the armor, or is it metal?
Zoom in, it might be metal. Oh, it looks like...
No, it looks like cloth. That's padded. I actually don't mind that they've integrated some cloth in between the things. I don't mind the greaves, okay, and the gauntlets, the other pauldron's not bad. There's some redeeming elements. I like the shaping of the breastplate. I don't like that it looks to be open on the side.
There's a dangerous prick on the sword handle.
You're right. That is a bit stupid.
I mean,
unless that's to cover the hand and you hold the hand a bit closer.
transformer.
What the hell? What is this? Like, it looks like this arm is like going through that pauldron. Like, it's and look at the size of these dozen things. What is
Melt him down. You can build a submarine.
Oh my goodness, this is.
What the hell?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know what to say.
This one is very cursed. Oh, boy. What's going on?
Bro, how many layers of apron do you need?
Look at like one. This might be the most pauldron layers I've ever seen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 layers of pauldron. This might be a bit hard to move. Look, it's like, yeah.
Where? How does he move?
I would love to see him try and raise his arms like this. Like, ay. No, yeah, cursed. This is cursed. They love big things that come off the pauldron that are just way too high and big. I mean, gosh. I think if she raises it this way, they might slip backwards, but if she raises it sideways like this, then she'd have issues. And is that the only medal? The arms, pauldrons, and this weird thing around her waist and her greaves? I mean, the weird thing around the waist is pointless, but it could be there for aesthetics. And then if you just want to get arms armoured and greaves, that's not completely illogical. Well, this guy's a little different at least.
Yeah.
His armour, this is aesthetic. This is like aesthetic armour, where he's just wearing it for ornamentation, I'd say, not protection.
Yeah, I'd say the same. Dude, it's jacked though.
I know. I mean, hey, it does swing both ways, ladies. Like this is eye candy for women to appreciate as much as anyone else. Sexy barbarian people with aesthetic armor pieces that's just there for looks. But those friggin' tacit things on the side, I can't stand it.
Whoa.
This one is a little
very pretty.
Okay, this one is spiky.
Yeah, that looks good too.
Helmet. Spikes on the helmet. The spikes on the pauldron are a bit, you might not got stabbed. Nothing on the chest, so it's just helmet, chest, and hands. Thighs exposed, but actually thighs are exposed on a horse is more of an issue than on foot.
Because it's closer.
Yeah, that was a bit of an issue. And there we go. This is cursed armor images. Oh boy, there are some. And this is just a taste. There are so many, but also it kind of sets the trend of there's a lot of cursed armor images out there, but they follow trends. And some of what we've seen is like spikes on pauldrons, weird tacit things, and segmented spikes and exposed parts on the chest is some of the most common tropes in these cursed armor images.
Some of them are good tropes.
Some of them you could maybe justify here and there, but let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and of course, hope to see you on the next video here on Shadowversity. So until that time, farewell.